Hello everyone and welcome to my video tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make these spacey textures. So let's get started by going to Photoshop, create a new document, and double click on the background layer to unlock it and name it background. Now with the background layer selected, go to add a new layer style and choose gradient overlay. Set the style to radial. And let's click on the gradient to open up the gradient editor. Double click on these color stops to change the color and change it to something like this. It's important that the center of the image is brighter than the outside. So change it to something like this, click OK, and create a new layer. Double click on it, on the name, to rename it and name it texture. Now with the rectangular marquee tool, my English is far from perfect by the way, so bear with me. With that tool selected, hold shift and drag a selection. By holding shift you will create a square instead of a rectangle. So create a square and with your selection active, go to filter and choose render and choose class. Let's click somewhere to deselect your selection, and with the texture layer selected, go to filter, but now to sketch and choose chrome. I've used these settings and click OK. Now go to edit, fade chrome, and lower the opacity to something around 25 or 20. Set the mode to overlay to give it more contrast and click OK. Now go to edit and transform and scale your image or your layer like this and double click on it. Now set the layer mode or the layer blending mode to overlay and zoom in a little, and let's give it some details by using sharpening. So with your texture layer selected, go to filter, choose sharpen and choose sharpen more. Let's do that once more. So filter, sharpen and sharpen more. Let's do it once more to see what will happen. Let's undo this. There we go. Now to give it some color, with your texture layer selected, go to add a layer style and choose gradient overlay. Set the blend mode to color and let's click on the gradient to open up the gradient editor and choose a gradient to give it some color. In this tutorial, or for this tutorial, I'll create a new gradient, and to do that we're gonna use three colors, so we need three color stops as well. So let's create another one by left clicking on the first one, then I hold the Alt button and I left click on it and I drag a new color stop out of it. So let's do it once more. Hold the Alt button, left click on it, keep Alt and the left mouse button pressed and drag a new color stop out of it. What you also could do probably is, yeah, you also could left click simply on it. Left click somewhere to create a color stop. So anyways, when you have three color stubs, let's give them some color. So double click on them and choose a color that you like. I'll be using blue, and I'll use the same blue, but I will make it a little bit, I don't know, a different blue, perhaps pink, or a more saturated blue. And I will use blue once more, but perhaps I should change the color of this one. Alright, so we have blue, oops, there, pardon me. So now we have blue, green, and another blue. Click OK, lower the opacity a little bit. And basically we're done now, but I want to change the background a little bit. So open the gradient of the background, of your background, and it's possible that it's hidden. If so, then left click on this arrow and double click on the gradient. Left click, and I will make it a little bit darker. Perhaps I should brighten this a little bit, make it lighter. Now what we could do is creating an adjustment layer, a curves adjustment layer, and give it some contrast. Left click on the layer mask and invert it by holding Ctrl and pressing I, and with a big white soft brush I will paint on random places. So let's do that. And I could create another adjustment layer, but now hue and saturation, and play a bit with the sliders. So to change the color, all you need to do is go into the gradient that is attached on the texture layer. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed it, that you learned something, and keep visiting my blog.